Okay, this is exercise 3 on determining sentence structure. Okay, so number 1, let's go through and find our prepositional phrases and our infinitive phrases. To bring him, to bring is the infinitive. About the weavers is a prepositional phrase. And their work, that whole thing is a prepositional phrase. In the affair. Okay. Now, I'll go ahead and put in the brackets at the beginning and the end. So find my subject. He is a subject. Preferred is a verb. And he is a subject here. Troubled is a verb. It tells me I have 2 clauses because I have 2 sets of subjects and verbs. So I'm going to break it right here at this prepositional phrase. And I'm going to break it out like this so that I can look at just one clause at a time. All right. So he preferred sending somebody else, everything else. So this is an independent clause. We do not have anything before the word he to make it subordinate. We go to the second clause. He is our subject. I look to the left. The word before is a subordinating conjunction. So this is a subordinate clause. So if I have one independent clause and one subordinate clause, I have a complex sentence. All right, number 2, throughout the city is a prepositional phrase. Of the wonderful property is a prepositional phrase. And to possess is an infinitive phrase. I think this is supposed to be of the people. So I'm going to go ahead and call that a prepositional phrase. Therefore, my subject is all. We're going to underline that once. Had heard is the verb. Underline that twice. Cloth is a subject. Underline that once. And was is a verb. Okay, I'm going to break it right here. And the reason is because I know that the word that is a relative pronoun. And that makes it a subordinate clause. And the first clause, we have one subject and one verb, nothing in front of our subject. So this is an independent clause. All right, if we have a sentence that has one subject and one, that has one independent and one subordinate clause, we have a complex sentence. All right. Number 3, to learn is an infinitive. And to be is an infinitive, right? Infinitive. Okay, all is my subject. Underline that once. Were is a verb. Neighbors is a subject. Might prove is a verb. All right, so all let's break it out. And I think this is going to be a rough one here. Sometimes they get like this. All right, so we have how wise or how ignorant, and those are descriptions of neighbors. There tells who, so that's a possessive. But there we haven't understood that right here. And so this is an independent clause. And the second one is a subordinate clause. And this is a complex sentence. All right. To the weavers is a prepositional phrase. And at last is a prepositional phrase. I'm going to go ahead and put my bracket here. I will send is a subject and verb. The emperor said. Emperor is a subject. And said is a verb. So I have, this is an independent clause, and the second one is an independent clause. The whole thing. So I have two independent clauses, and this is a compound. Okay. All right, number 5. He will be best able to see. To see is an infinitive. Uh-oh. How the cloth looks. All right. He is a subject. Underline that once. Will be able is a verb. Underline that twice. And I'm going to break that right here for no other reason than I just feel like that's where it should go. And cloth is a subject. Looks is a verb. And I'm going to put my bracket down here. So I have two clauses. I have to determine, are they independent or subordinate? He will be best able. This is an independent clause. To see how the cloth looks. How is a subordinating conjunction. Therefore, this is a subordinate clause. So we have a complex sentence. Number 6, of since. It's a prepositional phrase. For his office. It's a prepositional phrase. All right. I'll put my bracket at the beginning. He is a subject. Is a verb. No one is a subject. Can be is the verb. And he is a subject. Is a verb. So I know we have 3 clauses because we have 3 sets of subjects and verbs. So the first clause I'm going to end right here at this comma. And second clause, I'm going to end right here at this prepositional phrase. And the third clause will end at the period. All right, so now I need to determine what types of clauses I have. He is a man of sense is an independent clause because there's nothing there to make it a subordinate. And no one can be more suitable for his office. That also is an independent clause because there's nothing to make it subordinate. Than is acting as a subordinate conjunction. And so that is a subordinate clause. If we have 2 independent and 1 subordinate, then we have a compound complex sentence. Okay, into the hall is a prepositional phrase. With all their might is a prepositional phrase. And at their empty looms is a prepositional phrase. So I'm going to go ahead and put my bracket here and put my bracket here and see if I can find, I'm going to go ahead and minister is my subject. Went is the verb. Okay, and I'm going to put a bracket here and start the next one because I know that where is a subordinating conjunction. And knaves is a subject. were working is a verb. And that's all. So the first one is an independent clause. The word so is a coordinating conjunction, so that would not make it. But if it were so that, then we'd have a sentence fragment. I was told by a former English teacher that this is very incorrect, and I think it is too. We wouldn't really use the word so. We could start the sentence with the faithful old minister. The second one is a subordinate clause. So if we have one independent and one subordinate, we have a complex sentence. All right. Number 8 of this is a prepositional phrase. And meaning is our subject. Underline that once. Can be is the verb. Remember, we have when we have a question, we have our subject and verb inverted. So the meaning of this can be what is the way it would read if it weren't a sentence. And then man over here is the subject and thought is a verb. Okay, so we have 2 clauses. And whenever it's dialogue, it's usually 2 independent clauses. Because, so the first clause is an independent clause. The second clause is an independent clause. If we have 2 independent clauses, then we have a compound sentence. All right. Okay, of threads is a prepositional phrase or thread, and on the looms is a prepositional phrase. And we're going to put our brackets at the beginning and ending. I is the subject, underline that once. Can and discover are the verbs. And so we have one clause. It is not subordinate. So we have one independent clause, which means we have a simple sentence. All right, number 10. He is a subject. I don't see any prepositional phrases. Did express is a verb. Okay, we have one clause. This is a simple sentence and one independent clause.